I'm going to give you a brief presentation regarding the appeals process. And I've also provided you with copies of the handouts. So some of the slides I'll give you an overview if you also have that as reference. I'm Jennifer Cummings, the Program Manager for the Fair Hearings and Legal Affairs Department. And our department covers quite a few different aspects of the agency. But today I'll just focus on the fair hearing process. The mission of the Fair Hearings Unit is to provide a forum for dispute resolution, to be sure that we're upholding the rights of the persons with developmental disabilities, ensure due process while applying the related statutes, regulations, and agency policy, and of course to respect the dignity of all parties. We are governed primarily by the codes, the statutes and the regulations that I provided above. The government code, the U.S. code, federal regulations are usually used in early start. Then we have the Lanterman Act, which is a set of Wilford and Institutions codes. We refer to them as WIC codes. Then we also have Code of Regulations, particularly Title 17 regarding DDS services, and Title 22, which is related to community care licensing, residential services, and also through our appeals we reference Title 5 education regulations quite often. We also have agency board-approved policies and procedures. Now, before we get into an appeal process, we have the IPP, which is the agreement between the service agency and the consumer or their parent or authorized representative. The IPP, it's important to note that it is a planning effort. It's not a single event. I know we do it at least once a year, but there are a series of discussions and interactions among the team. IPP meetings can be convened at any time it's deemed necessary. And the purpose of the IPP is determine what services are needed in order to build the capacities and capabilities of the consumers receiving regional center services, and to decide what needs to be done by whom, when, and how. It records the decisions made by the planning team as well. The IPP is signed by all parties, particularly the consumer or their parent or legal guardian if the consumer is a minor. And it needs to be signed under statute prior to its implementation. It also states who is present at the meeting, and of course consumers can invite anybody that they would like to attend the meeting and participate. If a final agreement can't be reached during the IPP meeting, we need to convene another IPP meeting to see if we can, we needed time to research any issues, and we have time to get back together to see if we can resolve any items that might have not had full agreement on. The consumer or their authorized representative has the right to disagree with the IPP in whole or in part, similar to an IEP. They can write their disagreement on the signature form or on an attachment and state exactly what is in disagreement at the moment. The parts that are agreed upon can be signed so that those services can begin. Ultimately, if we've had a subsequent IPP meeting or meetings and we still can't come to an agreement regarding a service issue, then the consumer is provided with their written fair hearing rights. That's what we refer to as a notice of proposed action. In statute, it's also referred to as adequate notice. And that needs to be sent no more than 5 working days after the agency makes a decision to deny a new request for service, or if we determine that an applicant for service is not eligible. We need to also provide adequate notice at least 30 days prior to the agency making a decision without the consent of the consumer. That would be if there's a disagreement in service. And that needs to be sent if the agency makes a decision to reduce, terminate, or change services in the IPP. So are given a 30-day notice and the right to an appeal. We also do this if a consumer is determined to be no longer eligible for regional center services. Critical components of the notice of action is to state the reason for IRC's decision. And IRC's decisions when we deny or we have to send adequate notice regarding a service issue or an eligibility issue is based upon what the Landerman Act provides for us. We truly believe that the decisions made by the agency are made because that is, we're making decisions by the statutes that we're governed by. The notice of action needs to be provided in a language that the family or consumer understands. Needs to be mailed certified. And if it's addressed, it needs to be addressed to the consumer if the consumer is an adult. Even if the parents have been assisting in the IPP process, if they've made the request on the consumer's behalf, if the consumer is an adult and they're not conserved, it's still addressed to the consumer because they are the ones that withhold their appeal rights. The notice of action also includes a packet of information, which includes information about the hearing process, how to complete a request for a fair hearing, the different stages of the hearing process, their rights, the timelines that are required by law, and advocacy resources, which includes the Area Board, Disability Rights California, and the Office of Client Rights Advocacy. There are different timelines between Early Start and Landerman services, Landerman services being services for children over 3. For children under 3 that are in the Early Start program, they don't have a 30-day timeline to appeal. They can appeal later. Services automatically remain in place, which is called aid paid pending, during the appeal. And they have to separately file either a request for mediation or a request for due process, which is the state level hearing. If the issue is resolved in mediation, then the matter is complete. If it doesn't resolve in mediation, they have to refile and file for a hearing. The timeline also has to be held within 30 days. And I think the reason that they need to be done separately is because in Early Start, every month is critical because those children are developing and we need to get a decision on the service disagreement as soon as possible. Under the Landerman Act, the notice of action, after the notice of action goes out, if a service is already in place, perhaps it's a decision where we've made to reduce or terminate a service that's in place already, if they filed their fair hearing request within 10 days from receiving the appeal notice or the notice of action, they can get what's aid paid pending. So the service would remain in place through the appeal process. They also have the option of requesting an informal meeting, a mediation, and ultimately the state level hearing. Informal meetings are held within 10 days from us receiving the notice, mediation within 20 days, and the hearing within 50 days from the original filing. So with the different levels of a fair hearing for children over 3, consumers over 3 years, like I said, they have the option to request an informal. The informal is voluntary for that consumer. And if it is requested, the regional center has to have that informal. The purpose of the informal is to meet informally here at the regional center or a convenient location to the consumer and the agency to discuss the reason for the denial, to gather additional information that may not have been provided, to clarify the issues, to explain the position, and sometimes just through that discussion we're able to resolve appeals. It's also possible that new ideas may come up, other alternatives, other generic resources, things like that where we could possibly assist the consumer to get the services that they're seeking. If the matter is not resolved at the informal level and they ask for a mediation, The mediation is voluntary for both the regional center and the consumer. And we would make a decision on whether we go to mediation because if we think that we really need to have discussion to try to clarify the issues and perhaps come to a resolution. It could be really useful when there's multiple issues. And oftentimes mediations are very successful. It is facilitated by an administrative law judge who comes to either the regional center or another location that's been scheduled, and they'll hear the matters between the regional center and the consumer and try to come to a mutual agreement where we could resolve the appeal. And ultimately, if we're not able to resolve at the informal meeting or the mediation, then the consumer has the right to proceed to a state-level hearing. The state-level hearing is the formal procedure with the administrative law judge where they hear all the evidence presented and issue a decision. So if a resolution can be reached before the state-level hearing is scheduled, we would sign what's called a notification of resolution or a settlement agreement outlining what both sides are agreeing to, what the commitment is of the agency and what's going to be funded. If we're not able to resolve and we do go to the state-level hearing, there are several hearing procedures. We do exchange an exhibit packet and a list of witnesses with the consumer or their family before the hearing. It is recorded by the administrative law judge. And appeals can be consolidated if there's two or more claimants with a common issue. It says common question, law, or fact. That doesn't happen too often, but it's possible. You might see that if there's been some major statutory changes and a lot of people have been affected. So that issue could be consolidated. In the hearing, you have the option to provide opening statements to the judge. Usually the service agency presents its witnesses and evidence first, and that does give the families an advantage because they know what the regional center is presenting. The claimant can ask questions of each of the regional center witnesses or cross-examine. The claimant would then present their witnesses and evidence. And then again, the regional center representative can cross-examine and ask follow-up questions. And then we do closing statements sometimes if it's needed, especially if it's a complicated matter. And that could be done verbally or by a written closing statement. And this is a very simplified process to give you an idea of what we do. And then once that information has been received, the hearing is considered submitted, and the OAH has 10 days to issue a decision. If the decision is sent both to IRC and the claimant. They refer to it as claimant in the appeal process. If the decision is in favor of IRC, the decision is effective 10 days from the receipt of the order. And if the decision is in favor of the claimant, it's effective immediately. If either party disagrees with the administrative decision, they may file an appeal with Superior Court, and they have to do that within 90 days. I also provided information about 4731 complaints, and 4731 complaints can be used whenever a consumer or someone acting on behalf of a consumer believes that any right to which they're entitled has been abused, punitively withheld, or improperly or unreasonably denied by the regional center. It could also be the developmental center or service provider. Now this is found in the Welfare and Institutions Code 4502, but it outlines consumers' rights that are provided under the Lanterman Act. But it's also, of course, important that persons with developmental disabilities have the same legal rights as everybody. But in particular, the statute goes on to say they have the right to treatment and rehabilitation services, the right to dignity, privacy, and humane care, the right to participate in appropriate programs, prompt medical care, religious freedom, right to social interaction and participation in community activities. And so some of these, some of the complaints that the Regional Center may receive may be related to any of those rights that they're entitled to. The 4731 complaints is not used to resolve disputes regarding services, the nature, scope, and amount of services, because we have the appeal procedure, which we went over earlier. When a 4731 complaint is filed, it should be filed with the director of the Regional Center, and then within 20 working days from receiving the complaint, the director or the designee will investigate the complaint and send a proposed resolution. And if the complainant is not satisfied with the resolution, they do have the option of referring the matter to the Department of Developmental Services within 15 days for a second-level investigation. They have 45 days to issue a decision. And if they don't refer the matter to the Department of Developmental Services, the proposed resolution by the Regional Center becomes effective 20 working days following their receipt of the resolution. Also, I put together a fiscal year report on the appeals that was also provided to you in your packets. And comparing last fiscal year's statistics on appeals, it's very similar to the number of appeals that we had the previous fiscal year. We're looking at about having 250 total appeals. And within the last fiscal year, we had 60 Office of Administrative Hearing decisions. So a large number of those appeals were able to be resolved either at the informal level or at the mediation level. Of the decisions rendered, 40 were in favor of IRC and 16 in favor of the claimant or consumer. Then we do have split decisions, and for your information, split decisions would be if if there was a service-related issue, maybe on respite hours, and a parent was requesting a certain number, perhaps the judge would award more than what we were proposing, but not as much as what the claimant was requesting. So it could be a kind of a decision that is in favor of both parties, in a sense. And about 50% of our appeals have been eligibility-related appeals, and the rest purchase of service. And we also have a very small number of early start appeals. We also handle vendor appeals. Vendors under Title 17 regulations have specific areas to which they can appeal as well. And we have a separate appeal process through the regulation. Do you have any questions?
What is OAH?
Office of Administrative Hearings.
How often does Regional Center, once the administrative law judge decides, and then you have the 90 days to go on to Superior Court, how often do we do that?
Appeals to Superior Court don't happen very often. Once a year or less.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I'd like to call this meeting to order. We're going to do introductions of the board. My name is Mary Beth Field. I have 3 disabled adults who are my children. I have 7 children total, homegrown, bought, and borrowed. And as you all know, today is my first day as being president. Bear with me. can introduce the board, have the board introduce themselves. Let's go from right all the way around and end with Carol.
My name is Lena Laurie Smith. As an board of trustees, I have two severely mentally handicapped sons who are currently 29 and 30 years old. Thank you, Lord. And I'm here for the fun.
I'm Jennifer Baca. I'm the newly elected secretary, first day, since my badge be nice. So I have a master's degree in disability policy. And, that's about it.
My name is Mike Nagar. I'm the mayor for the city of Temecula. I've been on my city council for about 15 years. I have a 7-year-old son who has autism. And in my real life, I'm a land developer by trade.
I'm Danita Remington. I'm the VAC chair, at least through today. This is my last meeting up here. I know you will have a new representative, but it's lovely to be here tonight.
So who's next?
Well, I was thinking Sandra might introduce herself.
Secretary.
Kristen?
Hi, my name is Peter Pike. I'm from the AOC School, and also I'm on the board of Wisconsin.
I'm Peter Aston. I live in Rancho Mirage. Years ago, I was on the board of the Foundation for the Retarded of the Desert, which is now known as Desert Arc. And I've been coaching Special Olympics basketball for 12 years. I'm a financial advisor. I have a son, Patrick, 26 years old. He has Down syndrome. And Patrick has 4 older siblings and 9 nephews and nieces.
My name is Jack Padilla, and I worked at the Regional Center for 27 years. And I live in Beaumont, and I'm raising 3 babies right now. And have a challenge with them right now, so it's been pretty hard, but a lot of joy.
My name is Candy Sissel. I have 2 kiddos, same as Mary Beth. You know, homegrown and borrowed and stolen. I have just been on the board a little less than a year. And I used to be, in my other life, a neonatal intensive care nurse before my kids.
My name is Denise Wolsey. I have a 27-year-old with almost 27 with autism. I've been very active in our school districts as an advocate for years, and on our Southwest CAC. Also have worked with PTAs and also with the Autism Society of Inland Empire, and I've also been on the board almost a year now. So we can't use new kid anymore. Oh, we can? Okay.
Are yours?
And I'm Carol Fitzgibbons. I'm the Executive Director for Inland Regional Center. And since each one of you told a little bit of a story, I've been working with people with developmental disabilities since 1974. And been with 3 different regional centers, including this one, and worked with 3 different provider organizations. So it's been a wonderful journey.
Dr. Cutler? You work on it?
I didn't do that.
Yeah, yes, sir.
I'm Drew Cutler. I'm a pediatrician at Loma Linda Children's Hospital. Obviously, I'm on call tonight, so if I step in and out, you'll know why. I'm answering pages. I'm nearing the end of a second 7-year term as a board member, so I'm 13 years in. I have one more year left to help you all. And I had a daughter. She's since passed away, who was a consumer here, and of course I'm a pediatrician. I work with many children. I've been part of the intake program here in years past. over my 14 years here on the board.
Thank you, Mr. Cutler. Madam Secretary, we have established a quorum. We move on to the minutes of the June 10th meeting. I'm sure you all have those in your packet. Did everyone have an opportunity to read them? I'm searching for a motion.
Aye.
And a second.
Aye.
It's been moved and seconded that we accept the minutes. It's now open for discussion.
Yes, on, under financial report, line B, line of credit, about authorization signatures. 3 people are authorized to sign.
Yes.
How many of them need to sign it? Can anyone act separately, or is it 2 together, or?
2 together.
2 together, okay.
Any other questions?
Mary. Can I tell the requesting mail John Reed?
You'll have to say that again for me.
He's asking.
Could I ask a question about John Reed?
Oh, corrected? All
You
right.
ask a question? You said-
Question
A question.
A question, all right.
about John Reed.
All right. What is the question?
You want me to do it?
Right.
He's just asking what resolution, if any, was found regarding his bus access.
Okay. There was a discussion, Trevor, help me out, last week with Access, and they are looking into all of this and trying to make the routes go better.
Thank you.
Trevor, did I repeat that correctly? Yes. Okay.
I appreciate you keeping on top of that, Kristen.
Thank you.
Any other questions? We read the motion? Repeat. Okay, the motion was?
The motion was to accept the minutes
As written, there were no changes.
as written. Okay, as written, there were no changes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carried. Now we come to the public forum. In order to address the board, you need to fill out a blue slip. Sandra has them available. Oh, we have a lot. Please remember, it's a 5-minute session, and we need to adhere to that 5 minutes, especially when we have this spinning.
I am the timekeeper. When you get up, after you've gone through your preliminary introduction of who you are, when you start to make your statements, I will set the timer. When it goes off, your time is off. If you have more information that you'd like for us to know about, Sandra has boards and pins there where you can write out the rest of your information, which will then be read and reviewed and gotten back to you.
By all the board members. We will have it copied and given to the board members. So it's as if you're finishing off, but please make sure if you don't finish off in your 5 minutes, finish off on the clipboard, and we will help you, and we'll make sure that everyone gets to read it. Our first person is Mo Mendoza. Please go to the podium, yes.
If you could pass these to the board members, only the board members. Hi, my name is Mo Mendoza. I'm a parent of a consumer with Inland Regional Center. I also am an employee of Latterman Developmental Center. I also sat on the area board 12, and I'm also an advocate. I'm basically here because of a YouTube video that I saw that was very helpful to me, because I'm not allowed to really attend these meetings because of my son's services are usually Mondays nights, but tonight it got canceled, so I was able to come tonight. And basically the only access I have to the regional center meetings are the YouTubes that are done and posted on the internet. Basically why I'm here is to ask that there be an agenda item at the next Inland Regional Center meeting regarding statistics of clients that have left Latterman Developmental Center. I am writing to you to ask at the next board meeting that you put on the next IRC agenda an agenda item regarding the statistics of the consumers that have left Latterman Developmental Center and that are IRC consumers. The statistics should include things like what was the type of placement that was given to the consumer once they left Latterman Developmental Center, and I gave you samples of that in the letter. Consumers that are not in their original placements after leaving Latterman Developmental Center, why were they moved into another placement? How many moves have they made since they left Latterman Developmental Center? Consumer services are being met. Day programs, behavioral services, transportation, PT, OT, etc. If there was a delay in receiving services once placed outside of Latterman, how long before services started? If services stopped, why and what was the outcome of getting the services back? How many consumers have gone AWOL from their placements? What was the outcome of securing the consumer's safety and after the AWOL? Did any of the consumers that went AWOL have they had to be placed in another placement because of it? Consumers' health issues or behavioral issues once leaving Latterman. What was the outcome of correcting these issues to the consumers if the behaviors in the medical were more overwhelming than at Latterman? Consumers that left Latterman Developmental Centers with orders of psychotropical medication, are they still on the same medication and dose, or did they improve? If not on the same medication and dose, why? Have any Latterman Developmental Center consumers that left for placement and not on any psychotropical medication been put on these type of medications? If so, why, and are they still on it? I am also asking that Inland Regional Center Board of Trustees have a letter sent out to all the consumers that have left Latterman Developmental Centers that are consumers of IRC, and to have the consumers' conservators to ask them what type of statistics they would like IRC to acquire and have as an agenda item. Because trust me, parents are asking and they're not getting the answer. That's why I'm here. The reason why I am here and asking for this is because at the January 2013 Inland Regional Center Board meeting, an employee by the name of Alex addressed the Inland Regional Center Board when a question was asked about the mortality rate of Latterman Developmental Center consumers that have left and were IRC consumers. This employee, Alex, in my opinion, inaccurately answered the board member's question. He made mention of the female that had died after leaving Latterman Developmental Center. He said it would have happened whether in the community or the developmental center. That, in my opinion, did not address the board member's question accurately and was misleading. Totally misleading. The IRC board should look further into this matter, and the Aerial Board 12 also should. Parents have asked these questions, and they have not gotten answers, correct answers, and I know that for a fact. Some of the consumers leaving Latterman Developmental Centers do not have family members or anyone that can communicate for them, and they are unable to speak for themselves and advocate on their behalf due to their disability, or they have no family members, they have nobody, or their consumers don't advocate for them, okay, on their behalf due to their disabilities and so on. Or they are no longer with us and have died. Sometimes we have to be their voice, because if we are not, they will not be heard, or the injustice that has occurred upon them will never be justly looked into. Okay? I have concerns. You guys brought up statistics in the January meeting. I wish I could have attended, but my son's services are needed, and I have to be there when he gets those services, so I could not be here until tonight. Parents have been asking these questions, and they're not getting the answers. Also, I have asked before at the regional center board meetings,
It's time, I'm sorry.
you guys give us agendas, but you guys do not give us the full attachments. What you guys are seeing, we are not seeing. We are blind to it, and we should get a copy. It's called transparency. I'm a parent here. I'd like to see it all. Thank you.
Are all your questions within this handout that you gave us?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I just want to say that that's a lot of questions for staff to answer in 1 month.
Oh, no.
Would it be possible for you to?
It shouldn't be. Data should be taken as soon as they come out of the facility.
Okay, but I'm saying there were a lot of questions.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping that they were all listed here
Well,
so that we can turn it over to staff. Okay. Well, which one did you had 2 different? Okay, now, filming of the board meeting. Would you like to address the board on that one?
When it comes up for agenda
You're gonna
item,
wait
I'd
for
like to see
agenda
the
item?
agenda item too.
Okay.
The full one.
Linda Higgins, please. And I'm sorry, but we do have to keep it to 5 minutes. If you have anything else you want to hand in or add on the clipboard, please take advantage of that.
Hi, my name is Linda Higgins. It's nice to meet some of you in person finally and see one after like 35 years. I have 2 children with Regional Center. This is Megan. She has Down syndrome and autism. And then I have Ashley over there who has mild issues and fetal alcohol spectrum disorder, so a lot of trouble with focus and some brain issues that she's working really hard to overcome. Jordan was in early start, but is no longer with Regional Center. He's doing pretty amazing. Anyway, I want to thank you all for the wonderful CSCs that we've had come to our home and work with us. That's been a really wonderful thing for our family. I haven't met one that I didn't like yet. Megan, you need to stop. I would like to request that the Board of Directors of Inland Regional Center rethink their position on not allowing members of the public to attend standing committee meetings. The committees should receive public input, and we, the public, should feel comfortable knowing that every member of the committee has heard our concerns and our feelings. We should also be privy to what the committees discuss and have input into the issues they are addressing. We've been told that the Quality Enhancement Committee is the Parent Advisory Committee supercharged, like even better. Yet the parents aren't invited to that committee because it's in your bylaws that it should be a private meeting. I believe it should be a public meeting, including parents that are interested in participating, parents that would like to help, and parents that have questions and concerns. It just doesn't make sense to me that parents aren't allowed to come and share and hear what's going on at those meetings. Secrets make for an us and them environment. So if you want to have division and you want to have parents feeling like they're being left out and that they're not important to you, then you don't invite them to come to the meetings. But if you want parents and consumers to feel like they're part of things, you let them participate. What is the reason behind closed meetings if not to keep those of us not on the committee from knowing what's going on? If these committee meetings are only doing what is beneficial to parents, shouldn't they be open to all? The fact is most parents won't go, most consumers won't go, but those who do wish to be heard and considered, they should have that opportunity. And I think we'll be leaving after my comment because I don't think she's going to last till very long.
You did great.
Unless you guys want her to come up and talk through it. But thank you.
Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Come on, Megan, it's time to go.
I appreciate your comment. And I'll bring that up at the executive committee.
Thank you.
Does she want some candy?
She doesn't eat. Now you open a can of worms. Where's Magoo? Hey.
Trustee,
Yes. But you're share the mic.
with everyone, Christine.
Come on, sweetie. Next. Say bye.
Bye. Hello, good evening.
Hey, okay.
Just hear about a couple of things. Ms. Mendoza had ended her public comment discussing the issue of the agenda. The items, and I was actually talking to Sandra a little bit about that earlier before the meeting began. The items that are in front of you all, we don't see. So for instance, under old business where it talks about sample letter, and then there's 2 examples there, the public doesn't have access to that, so I might want to say some things on that, but I don't have a copy of that to be able to know what that item is. So that's of concern. The main reason that I wanted to speak today was to, as Ms. Higgins was talking about, encourage the board to consider changing the bylaws that exist now to make the committee meetings, standing committee meetings, open to the public, like the Quality Enhancement Committee, the Business Committee, so that people can come to these meetings and speak up in whatever capacity, whatever concerns they have, issues they want to bring to the committee's attention, so that the public can be heard. So I hope that you, as a board, will consider that possibly, to add that as a future agenda item to amend the bylaws to make those committee meetings open. I did a little bit of research on neighboring regional centers, and their standing committee meetings are open to the public, and they do public comment as well. San Gabriel Regional Center, etc. So thank you very much.
Thank you. I will take that to the executive board.
Thank you.
And Willits.
Good evening. Many people come up here to complain to this board.
Like you?
Christian?
Are they kidding?
No, not tonight. In the past maybe, but not tonight, Christian.
Are they kidding, Ken?
If you don't know, Christian is a very good blackjack player. Anyway, I'm here to say thank you. On June 20th, the employees of IRC received a check that included their COLA increase. On June 5th, the executive director made the announcement to the staff where 580 employees stood up and gave her a standing ovation. I wish there was 580 people here tonight giving you the standing ovation. In my heart, I believe that you were the driving force behind that COLA increase. And on behalf of the staff, I'm here to say thank you. It was well deserved. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. I want to tell you the reason that was really looked at is we had our meeting and employees told us how long it had been since there'd been a COLA. And so I think that really helped move it along, and our great staff was able to really work hard and find the money that was needed. So they deserve that. And no one took advantage of the clipboards? Okay, next month. Lee wants one. Anyone else want to do public forum? All right, we will proceed on. Our next is the area board. Vicki Smith was going to speak. Did Representative come in her place? We'll excuse her. She sent an email that she had out-of-town business. Okay, now it's my turn. I'd like to pass down some tablets for everyone. Please, no, we can't keep them all here. Please take one. And the reason for the tablets is a lot of times when I'm sitting up here and I'm making notes all over everything and then I don't transcribe them over, they don't get to Sandra or Carol or whoever I have questions for. So if you have questions, please make sure that you jot them down. If you have things you want other answers on. And there are going to be some other areas on the agenda that you may need to have input that's written that will go back to Sandra. You can pass them to Sandra, myself, Carol, Jennifer, whoever you happen at the end of the meeting, have your answers to parts of the agenda, you may write them on that. We're now going to pass out the conflict. Do you have the conflict? Well, I have the conflict in this big old stack here. There are conflict of interest forms. Which one? Brown. Brown. Gosh. These are mandatory for us to fill out. If you feel you have a conflict, if you think you have a conflict, as Carol says, just list it, and if it's not a conflict, it's not a problem. They have to be turned back in.
How would you do this? Is it just, they're just...
It's a policy and then the form.
There's the policy. You need to read the policy for the conflict.
And then the form's behind it. Okay.
And we need it back by tonight, if possible. Next month, and I know you'll forget it, so try and do it tonight.
Yes,
Do it now, actually, is what she wants the answer to be. Of course, I know I lost mine twice last year, so that's the only reason she's saying tonight.
Yes.
Please have them filled out before closed session. How's that? Board members, if you want any items considered for the executive committee meeting, they are due to Sandra by Thursday. The executive meeting is the following Wednesday, so if you have anything you want placed on the executive board, please make sure that someone gets it, Sandra, Carol, myself, or Jennifer. We are going to be making up the agenda. I want to thank all of you for reading the email that I sent out and sending back a little K. Some of you just put a K. K is fine. If you want to get really verbose, okay is fine. I just like to know that you got the email and you read it, and I really appreciate it. And if that is not, email is Jack. If email is not.
I've been so busy lately.
I know, with the twins, I'm giving you a little forgiveness there.
Okay, thank
But
you.
if there's another method of communication, please let me know. And I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight. I know it's a busy time of year in the summer. We have so many other places. So now we have the executive committee report.
Yeah.
We met the executive committee. I wasn't president then. So I should make Drew do it, shouldn't I?
You were there.
I was there, okay.
Yeah,
I was there. And we will be passing out our notes. They're in this pile. I'll have to dig them out. Everybody will get a copy of the notes, okay? I made a copy. There's a lot of paperwork here.
Yeah, but if you want us to pay attention to the meeting, don't have us fill out stuff.
Well, fill it out in between,
The
okay?
one that has ADD, you don't have to
Okay,
do
but you can fill it out in between closed session. How's that?
that.
Okay?
Yeah.
I think I'm
That
gonna
was
fill it
just
out.
a
I'm
disclosure.
talking. It's hard to fill out. I'm talking too. I don't have any conflicts, just a lot. We spoke about the 4-6 bed issue. We've been having meetings. They have, I feel, been very productive. We have agreed on quite a few points. Not all of them. We haven't made them. Staff has really been very helpful, bringing us all the information that we've asked for. We talked about the Transportation Task Force letter that was to be sent to DDS, and the letter for the status of our probation, which is later on, and Master Trust meeting questions came up about Master Trust and how it works. I always have questions. And that was pretty much all that we discussed. Did you remember anything else that you wanted to discuss for the executive meeting? I covered them pretty closely. Or we'll move on now. It is now Carol's turn.
Oh, my.
And it's purple.
And it's my favorite color, thank you. It said it's good to be queen. Thank you so much. I love this. Thank you.
Well, and I don't know if people noticed.
Yeah.
It also has sparkles.
Bling, bling,
Bling.
bling.
There you go.
daughter had fun blinging this up, okay? And my husband ordered that for me.
And Mary, all you do this.
You want me to do that? I was going to let you do it. Thank you so much. That is adorable.
Yeah.
Okay, moving right along. Just to report, at the end of this fiscal year, which ended June 30, we have had an increase of 1,364 consumers this year, bringing our total current caseload at year end of 27,901 consumers. And you can imagine the workload and the impact that we've been able to make in our community. Along with that, we had to turn in a caseload ratio plan that was due at the very end of the year. And our regional center, just like all of the others, are having a difficulty meeting the statute caseload ratio. And the average statewide is about 1 to 74, 75, and ours right now is pretty close to that. We're about 1 to 75, so we're a little bit higher. And we are going to be working on how to get that down and working out different kinds of ways so that maybe paperwork, et cetera, can be expedited in different ways so that staff have the ability and the tools that they need to do the job really quickly and efficiently. Because we don't see a whole lot of money coming in to be able to hire additional case managers. But we will be working on that, and as we start seeing exactly the dollars that we have for the upcoming year, then that is something that the business committee is going to be working on and taking a look at. Let's see. The community placement plan is moving along well. Just so you know, we have 6 persons remaining at Lanterman Developmental Center, and we will meet the closure June 2014. Gives us 12 months to complete that plan and assist those people to move from Lanterman. And that is the proposed closure date that has been put into place by the legislature. And so we have every good faith that we will make it. The other thing that has to do with the community placement plan is there has been dollars placed into the budget this year to work with people that are falling under a category that has been labeled difficult to serve. And because of the movement to close the state institutions and to design other programming in the community, we will be working with other regional centers in the state, and they're looking at trying to do a service program that will be one in the north and one in the south, and we'll be participating with the southern regional centers to develop a small facility that can work with folks that are difficult to serve. We talked about the 4 to 6 bed task force. Just to report to you, the Chamber of Commerce in Riverside application has been filed, and we paid our money, and so we will be working with you all to identify a representative to go with Treva to those different meetings if there's somebody on the board that would like to do that. You mentioned the Transportation Task Force. Also, there is a planning committee of the staff that did a red, white, and blue barbecue lunch, and some of you were able to come. We made some good money for the Merry Mixer party that will take place in December, so that's not going to cost a whole lot, we keep hoping. And Alma and her team have been working very hard on getting that taken care of. Just to report a little bit on some of the issues that have come forward in past board meetings. One of the parents made a request for Regional Center to consider vendoring a home to increase its capacity from 4 to 5. And we have just learned about a month ago, that there was a gentleman that wanted to move from that home, and so there is a vacancy. And the mother and daughter are now reviewing that option to make their decision. Last
That
month.
means it still stays at 4?
Pardon?
It still stays at 4?
Yes, it will still be at 4.
Uh-huh.
Last month, John, you talked with us about some of the issues related to access, and we spoke about that a little bit earlier. And so we're hoping that things will improve and continue in that way.
It has, because one of the bus drivers that I know, she talked to one of the supervisors of access. And,
So they made some internal
well,
remarks
she's
as well.
really, she said, and then she said, last Friday, because they redid their, 6-month thing, or, you know, well, anyway, she said she's gonna check on us, make sure that we're on time, especially me. And my wife, especially my wife too.
Well, I'm glad you brought the issue forward, thank you.
Yeah, 'cause like I said, last month, you know, split the bill too, and, you know, you need your money that's worth it, you know.
Thank you so much for letting us know.
The last item was, Denise reminded me that I would let you all know that we are working on updating the website. It goes through a lot of process every year, and there are things that kind of get accumulated on there, and we need to clean it up and make it a little easier for people to navigate. And so that is being done now, and Treva is working very closely with Westbound to get that completed.
Thank you.
Questions?
Thank
you.
Thank you so much. And it's good to hear back from some of the input to find out what is happening. Next, we have the financial report. Mr. King is not able to be here. And so, Marissa, you are on.
Good evening.
Good evening,
Okay, we made it through another year end. Our fiscal year 2012-13 is closed. We are now into the new fiscal year, and we're very happy to report that our operations budget, all of our expenditures, as you have voted in at the beginning of the year, we have met all of our target. And I will be able to give you the finalized final financials for June 2012 once all of the expenditures for 2012 have been realized. Again, we thank the board for the 3% COLA that was approved for all staff. That was paid on June 20th, and in your financials, that's included in the salaries and wages. And as you can see, I'd like to point out that the salaries and wages that we met all of what we budgeted for. We have, I think, a little bit of like $600 over. I think that was pretty good. And with the tight cash flow situation that we have experienced last month, we tapped into our line of credit. We borrowed $9 million from Union Bank. We borrowed overnight. We borrowed on June 18, and we paid it back on June 19. And even with the cash tight flow situation, all of our vendors, both operations and POS, were paid on time. Okay, and for the new fiscal year, we don't have our budget yet. We're waiting for our cash advance. They said that we should have it hopefully by tomorrow, because we are issuing our checks on Wednesday for our residential care. So, but don't worry, we will make it. Our vendors will be paid as usual. So, and also last month, we the business committee selected 2 very impressive gentlemen to be a part of the business committee. And they are Keith Nelson and Mr. Salazar.
Are they with us?
It is. And where is, I don't see Mr. Salazar, Rick Salazar. He's from Temecula, so he has quite a ways to drive. But as part of the board action, we would like to ask for board that they be accepted to the business committee. They are very, very impressive. Mr. Keith Nelson is a PhD. I am very impressed that we have a doctor sitting in our business committee. And Mr. Salazar is also, his background is in finance as well. So I'm asking for a board action at this time.
We're looking for a motion to accept.
Aye. I second. So we have to have a motion?
Yeah, we're trying to, yeah, okay. The motion,
I'll second the motion.
you'll second the
I
motion.
vote for it, yeah.
And he made, okay, the motion would be to accept Mr. Keith Nelson and Mr. Rick Salazar to the Business Committee. We have a motion and a second. It's open for discussion. Hearing no discussion.
I have a question.
Oh, you have a question? All right.
I don't know these people. And so, are we going on the recommendation that you're giving us, or no?
No. Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
The people were interviewed by the business committee and had an opportunity to discuss and to get to know each other. And the recommendation is being made by the business committee members that participated in that interview process.
Okay, because I was gonna, I have that. Okay. Then make it. Okay. Okay. Well, since that's the situation, thank you.
Thank you. So,
Well, we're in the middle of a motion. We need to have a vote. Are there any other questions or discussion? It's been moved and seconded that we accept Mr. Keith Nelson and Mr. Rick Salazar as members of the Business Committee. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carried. Welcome. Thank you so much for volunteering.
So just for everyone's information again, and for Keith, welcome to our committee. We meet every second Monday of the month prior to the board meeting at 3:30 in the afternoon. So thank you, and that's my report for tonight.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
I think Marissa deserves quite a hand.
I think that's all of the financial, except the contract. I'm going to discuss it. No?
Well, you always, there isn't really a whole lot to discuss. You received a copy of the contract. I can respond to any questions that you might have. There were, in the contract, there were some areas that you saw some lines drawn and underlining and so forth. Those are areas where there is a change. Most of the things are just referencing a change in either the Welfare and Institutions Code and possibly citing or changing the wording on it. I think they changed from writing it out.
Any questions? No questions? Okay, we're fine. We'll move on to the Quality Enhancement Committee. Ms. Wilson.
I just put in the board packet the minutes from our last meeting, which was our very first official meeting. And we were going over basically the confidentiality statements that the board committee members had to sign. I know it was just brought up about having these meetings open, and they are a board committee. I mean, it would take a change, a bylaws change to do that. I personally would think it would be nice to have the input of people, especially on this committee. But like I said before, it is not a parent advisory committee, but we are looking into ways to get complaints and to get parent input into the things that are, bothering, maybe having problems with different consumers on a global scale of if we see like too many people are having this problem or that problem, because we can't really do individual type stuff. But what we did come up with at our last meeting, we were trying to find a something that we were going to be talking about or looking at, and what we had kind of got off on that track was training for parents, trainings for CSCs. We discussed a lot of stuff about what we could do about having different kinds of trainings that we are seeing that a lot of people don't really understand. A lot of parents aren't understanding. A lot of CSCs aren't understanding. So we were just kind of throwing out the thing about doing different kinds of trainings. We met again tonight and we were kind of bringing up, that isn't something that our committee's supposed to be really doing as a committee. We're not a training committee, but we did like the fact that we did bring it up to have different kinds of trainings because I think they're needed. What we are looking into doing now is meeting with different groups and possibly sending out surveys to these groups, but we're thinking of bringing in different leaders of different groups and have them come in and talk with us and then take back what we give them and then they bring it back. That way it's not going to be a whole, because we're having problems with Riverside and San Bernardino County bringing people to us. So we're trying to figure out the best way to get the stuff to us. So that was something we discussed tonight. We have turned pretty much of the training stuff over to Carol and Treva. We were talking about that tonight. So we're looking into that as like I said, that was our first meeting, and this second meeting, we got a little bit more into what we'll be doing as far as getting out there and getting the information we need from our consumers and their parents. And also, we did go over the performance contract, but we didn't think we went over it, did we? So those are the kind of things we're doing. We're still pretty much new and up in the air, and we're still deciding what we're doing, but we are going to be looking for groups for input from our consumers and their families in that, and that's where we're going to be doing it at the moment until something changes. So that's what we got.
Thank you. Does anyone on the board have any questions? No questions? We have one public input for this committee, for this portion of the work, Mo and Joseph. Is this where you wish to speak?
I'm number 7, filming of board meetings.
You're number 7?
Yes.
Oh, okay, so you did the other one, so you're the filming, it's the same one, it's Denise's, sorry. All right. Vendor Advisory Committee, and our last one to hear from you.
I know you'll miss me.
You have your predecessor yet?
How about successor?
Tammy. Hi.
Are you ready?
I am ready. I know you all got my memo, and I just wanted to highlight a few things from it. The overriding concern at the last VAC meeting really was the increased costs that are impacting vendors, and that many vendors really are having trouble hanging on because the rates have been frozen for a good long time, and even with the 1.25 sunset, that still really brings it back. I put the 2009 level, but some people say it's more like mid-90s level of funding, and costs have increased dramatically since then. And there are also some new costs on the horizon that may impact vendors, including a proposed minimum wage increase. So there are some real concerns about vendors and costs right now, and they're really concerned it will get worse before it gets better. One thing, there may be a bit of a window of opportunity for vendors to really approach the state legislators in the next budget year, because the system has been so unfunded for so long, and there could be a surplus. It's possible. So we're really trying to get ahead of that and do some advocacy and to really kind of get the word out that we've hung on a long time, but in addition to getting that 1.25, we really need a rate increase. All of the vendors are really struggling. Some particular concerns were brought up by respite vendors, especially the preferred providers. That rate apparently is very low and they're really having trouble hanging on. They've been hit pretty hard by escalating costs for health care, but also the audit requirements. So they would like Regional Center to really look into the rate issue. They believe that the preferred providers rate is within the jurisdiction of Inland Regional Center rather than a state mandated amount. So they would really like that looked into. There also are unmet needs of young adults and adolescents, particularly in the autism spectrum in terms of social skills. We're going to discuss that and the difficult transition for these young adults that are transitioning out of the school system that is very structured and then into what. So we're looking at ways perhaps some vendors can help meet some of those needs. The Infants and Children's Program had some questions about the Bailey Assessment Tool. They've been asked to use this tool and it has some very specific requirements and it's hard to find training. So that is a concern for the Infants and Children's Program. Residential, you won't be surprised to hear that the big issue is the 4 to 6 bed issue, and that is ongoing. They were very appreciative of the task force and the progress that is being made looking at that issue. And I guess the real news of the night is our membership committee's report. And that is a separate handout that was put on your table today. Because we didn't have it done in time to send it ahead, but hey, before the meeting. The first page are the officers. Tammy Simpson will be the new chair. Tammy, stand up. I will be the co-chair, so you're not completely done with me. Tina will be secretary, Michael Foster, the membership committee chair. So the first page of the vendor advisory board handout, those are current members and the recommended officers for the coming year. The second page are new members. We have 3 new members to fill vacancies, and their contact information is listed as well as a little blurb about them. We have a new representative for day programs, Amanda Zimmerman, a new representative for transportation, Lorraine, whose last name I will not attempt because I will say it so wrong. She is from Mainstream Tours. And a new representative for healthcare facilities, Michelle Clark. We do have 1 vacant position that we didn't have anyone come forward for. That BMOD programs remains unfilled, but if someone has an interest, we can fill for the remainder of the year. And anyone interested in that can contact our new membership committee chair, Michael Foster, whose contact information is here, as well as on the website and many ways to contact. So what I need tonight from you is approval of the officers and approval of the new members. The last 2 pages are, to be thorough, gave you the ongoing members, but we don't need action on any of the continuing terms.
Do I get a motion?
Aye.
Okay. We have a motion to accept the new officers as presented. With a second. Open for discussion. Any discussion, questions? Having no discussion or questions, I call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carried. Welcome.
Can I just make a comment? Anita, I appreciate it so very much. You taught me a lot. And you helped me get to know the members very, very quickly. And I really appreciated the honor of working alongside you. Thank you so very much.
Okay, we move on now to the old business. These were motions made to have sample letters to send to legislators opposing SB 555 and supporting HR 1601. I really appreciate staff doing this. I read through the letters. Does anyone have any questions?
Jennifer, is there any need for some update on 555?
No, the proposed letter includes the amendments that were recently made on the 20th, so you're up to date on that.
Thanks.
And the support of HR 1601? Is everyone in, do we need a motion? Do we need a motion, or are we just going to go further? These are already motions that were approved, and we requested the letters. So is everyone okay with them? And we will.
Yes. They look great.
They look, I believe they are just exactly what we asked for. We will move forward.
So, get these ready for your signature.
Fine, that sounds good. I believe it's important for us to support and oppose things that the board feels strongly about. And I appreciate the staff's help on this. Thank you. We're on to new business. At this time, we need to accept the resignation of LaTanya Sweet. Unfortunately, it's very difficult for her to get here, and at this time, she's not able to fulfill the rest of her term, leaving her term open now for a new placement, and it will be a placement for a consumer. Okay, I need a motion to accept her resignation.
No.
Okay, we have a lot of motions there. They're pretty much both the same.
No.
And we
Yes.
We have a motion and a second.
No.
Yes, thank you, Kristen. And have any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carried. And we will send her a thank you for her service. Trevor? I'm looking over there.
I moved over here.
You moved.
Like stealth.
Yes, I watched you for a moment.
Well, now that the state budget is passed, our legislators will probably be home in their local districts for the next couple of months, maybe not quite that long, but for several weeks at least. And I thought this would be a good time for us to go see them and say thank you for their support, if they've supported the things that we want them to support, or to introduce ourselves, or to tell them about our very important consumers, families, vendors, the constituents that they serve. And I just would like us to be able to do that. I know some of you have been interested and shown interest. So tonight I'd like to pass out a little sign-up sheet. Let me know if you're interested. Let us know if you're interested, or if you're not interested, that's fine too. And who you might know in the legislature or civic leaders, important people like Mike and others. So if you could fill this out before executive session. No, I'm just kidding. Sometime soon. If you could grab one and pass along. I don't know if you had any questions about any of that, or what we might hope to do. Yes, Lee? Did you raise your hand?
Have any questions?
Oh, okay. I was hoping you'd have a question. Okay, thanks. If you could get those to Sandra or to myself, perhaps by the end today, if it wouldn't take away from your focus of everything else, then that would be good.
That would be candy.
If you'd like to visit in twos, that would be probably easier, or even threes. So if any of you, if you're not really comfortable going on your own, please be sure it's probably better if we do, in groups. And I'm hoping all of you will sign up. And you might want to jot down if you're also interested in attending the chamber with Trevor. So we have a lot of opportunities here to serve other than just coming to the meetings. This is the time when we can actually go out and maybe find some of that little extra money that you were talking about and funnel it this way. Thank you so much. We had training for the board a couple of weekends ago. We had, I feel, very good trainers. One was from the IRC of San Gabriel, and one was Golden Gate.
Yeah, you had the opportunity to meet Jim Shorter, who is the Executive Director for Golden Gate Regional Center, and that's primarily the San Francisco area. And then the board chair from San Gabriel Valley Pomona Regional Center was with us as well.
Very, very good training for those of you who weren't able to join us. One of the parts that several of the board members were very interested in were board evaluations, where you actually evaluate yourself as a board member. Probably your attendance, your participation, and just how you feel the board is running, what things you'd like to see changed. And so I'd like to put together just a small task force to bring together, you will have templates, but bring together the questions and answers that might help our board build a little board evaluation for us. We have several papers that we were able to copy from San Gabriel, and then Carol said that there were several that were online that we might actually pull from. This is not going to be a committee that's time consuming. I believe most of it can be done over the phone, through emails, and maybe 1 or 2 meetings. So if anyone here is interested, you have the little pad. Write your name down, send it down to Sandra. Yes, I will be interested. Yes, Mr. Nagar, I think this is one for you. It's not a lot of time or driving in, but think about it. And Drew, I'm hoping that you might get involved because you've been on the board through several different entire boards. So you might be able to help us with some ideas of how to actually evaluate and train. So if you're interested, please, everyone take your pen, write it down on your little yellow paper, and pass it to the right. And I'm asking for you to consider this task force, and because I'm going to make it like an ad hoc committee, don't laugh back there, Vince, I can see you. And I'm not rolling my eyes either. So, do I have a motion to support this? I really want a motion to support this.
Aye.
Thank you. I knew I could count on you. And a second. I'm looking for a second here. Any discussion? Anyone not interested in it?
No.
Questions? No questions. The motion is on the floor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. We're going to do this. We're going to evaluate each other. This is going to be great. When I was listening to him discuss it, I thought it was very interesting, that they actually evaluate themselves. Now we're on to the Master Trust Committee. Oh, we're going to do the Master Trust, and with everything changing around on the Master Trust, we need to recommend new board members. That would be me. I have to go on that Master Trust. And Tom already sits on the Master Trust, but I thought it would be nice for us to, continue to support him. And Patrick had shown an interest to be on the Master Trust, and Drew is going to stay on the Master Trust. So there would actually be 4 board members on the Master Trust, which I think is a really good representation for us. I'm looking for a motion to support those board members.
Go.
Thank you. Jennifer seconds. It's been moved and seconded that we support those 4 names to the Master Trust Committee. Any discussion? Anyone else want to join us?
Let me just make a point of clarification.
Okay, clarification.
The president of the board sits as the chairperson for the Master Trust Committee. So that part is in their bylaws already.
I know.
And then, so basically you're kind of ratifying some action as well as recommending others to participate on the Master Trust Committee. There's supposed to be always 2 representatives from the board, so the president makes one, and then you have 3 other names of people that are wanting to support and sit on the Master Trust Committee. So you're well covered.
We're well covered. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carried. And isn't it tomorrow?
Yes.
We're dark in July.
Are we dark in July?
We are dark in July.
Okay, good.
Yeah, not till August. Not till August.
Thank you.
Second Tuesday.
We're dark.
I kind of needed that too.
We're dark
I needed
next month,
it too.
the board?
No.
Master
Wait.
Trust.
Trust.
That's your
You're
trust.
already here.
You're here.
Oh, yeah, there we go.
Now we're on to calendar for training topics. You all read your packet, right? It's time to build our training. I put in there the training that we had last year. Some of you might want to revisit some of those trainings for more detail. Some of you might have other ideas for training. Yellow pad. Write it down if you have any ideas now. You read this at home, so hopefully you were thinking of different ideas for training. Pass it on down. Put your name on it in case we have questions, please. But any other training ideas, please just give us your suggestions. And we're just looking for the 15, 20-minute trainings that we're having prior to our meetings, and then keep going, Denise, write them all down. And then we usually have at least 1 or 2.
Well, last year you had 2.
Last year we had 2 weekend trainings. So if you have a longer item, put that for a weekend, and then the little 15-minute trainings that I feel are very helpful. I learned several things tonight that I didn't know. So we don't need an action on that. Next, Nominations Committee. With me leaving into the presidency, I can't be on the Nominations Committee. That's in our bylaws. The only person left on the committee is Lee. Lynette does not want to do this alone, but she will be staying on the committee. My recommendation, I recommend, because I asked at our last meeting who would be interested, and I received emails from Denise and Candy, and during the executive board meeting, Carol reminded me that Dr. Cutler would like to sit on this committee. Am I correct? Dr. Cutler?
I've done the nominations committee at least a couple times before, but yes, I'm happy to do it.
You would like to do that, okay. And it's important that we try to sit on committees. Is there anyone else that might be interested in sitting on the nominations committee? We have several openings at this time, with Alma having left because her term ended, and Tanya.
Takes me.
Oh, I'm not being replaced. No,
for the
people that we have to bring in. But there will be meetings so that we can recommend to the board at least 2 positions at this time. Is anyone else interested? So then my recommendation, and I need a motion for that.
I
know you would do that first, didn't you?
What's your recommendation?
Our recommendation is that the nominating committee consists of Lynette, but she's already on there, Denise Wilson, Candy Sissel, and Dr. Cutler. And there's a motion and a second.
And a second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carried. So now, the committee will start seeking new board members. I had made a suggestion to Carol that she has this little communique that goes out, that we might put a little blurb on there, and maybe on our webpage, and asking consumers who might be interested in serving. And so I'm hoping that that'll be the first thing the first way that we look, and then of course we will ask our different CSCs and if there's anyone who might have someone they might want to suggest to the nominating committee that we would love to interview for these positions. And item number 7 now, filming of the board meetings. Denise, are you done?
Yeah.
I am going into that.
I'm sorry, but we're a little, some of us down in the Temecula, Elsinore area are a little bit tired. We've been involved in searching for our missing autistic young man that's been missing for 2 days, so we're kind of out of it. I think I got 2 hours sleep. I don't know what she got. I know Mike's been on it, so forgive me if I'm not quite where I'm supposed to be, but I do. This is important that I wanted to get this on our agenda. Speaking about filming our IRC meetings, we have had, Trustee has been coming and filming some of the meetings. They've been on YouTube, people have watched them, parents have watched them, consumers have watched them. Some of our vendors have watched them, some of our employees, they have given us input that they like having that because it's so spread out. We're so spread out with Riverside and San Bernardino County. A lot of people are very interested in what our board does. I know that this hasn't been done at regional centers before, but since we're the largest regional center, we could set a precedent to do something like this. I'm thinking more of parents and their consumers and other people that would be able to get a lot out of this. I personally appreciate the tapings that Christy has done in the past. It does give us even a better checking of our own board and of ourselves. And I have, like I said, I have gotten a lot of feedback from a lot of people asking for something like this. A lot of, with technology nowadays, and we're trying to be so transparent, I think it's a good way to do. I know city councils do it. I know, you know, different other agencies are doing it. School boards are even, some are doing it. So it isn't something that we've done before, but it's something that I think would be helpful for us all and for our consumers mostly because they can't always get here. So that's why I brought it forward. I do. What do you want?
I'm waiting to hear. Do we have a motion to?
All right.
Oh yes. Yes, Denise can make her motion, but we have a speaker from the floor on this subject. So could we just hold on the motion? Mo Mendoza, and Lee's ready for you.
I would like you guys to consider this, and I would also like you guys to really do this. Like I said when I was reading my letter to you, I would have never known what was said, what was presented, even the transition plan from Latterman to Inland Regional Center. Some of the things that you were told were kind of not 100% accurate and things like that. I would have never had that knowledge if I hadn't have seen that video. And me, you know, my son is a consumer here. I'd like to know what's going on because getting an agenda like this, where you guys get the rest of it, that's wrong. This way, when it's filmed, that can be my agenda, and I can come back and I can speak on things. I won't see the accurate stuff because we don't get it in black and white, but I'll see some footage of what you guys are commenting on, what you guys are seeing in your agenda package. It's very important. Also, what I didn't mention, I'm also an elected official, and to me, transparency. It's all about transparency. When you won't film or give a full agenda with the items attached to it to the public, that's telling the public something, that there is no transparency, that you're hiding things, you don't want things to be known, or you don't want to answer to things. And I don't think that's right. And I really want you guys to consider filming this. It's cost efficient. It's not that expensive. I mean, that video camera couldn't cost that much. I'm sure you have technology people here that could post it on your guys' website, which would help me because it took me 3 hours to find that video. I'm not good with technology. I wish it had been on the Inland Regional Center website so I could get to it faster but unfortunately it wasn't, and it took me hours to find it. I mean, I found a whole bunch of other stuff which were interesting and, you know, valuable to me, other Inland Regional Center meetings, but the particular one that I wanted to find, it took me about 3 hours to find it, you know, and I have it now in my favorite, so I can bring it up anytime and listen to what was said and all that, which I'm thankful for. But really, you guys really should consider it. You know, I know DDS probably doesn't want it. I know the executive director probably doesn't want it done. But really, it's all about transparency, and it's really about what the consumer, the parents, and the conservators want, and the employees also. And you guys should really consider it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I'll second that motion and then discussion.
It's been moved and seconded that we, what is the exact motion, Denise?
That we,
That we videotape.
yes, that we videotape our board meetings.
All right, thank you. It's been moved and seconded.
And put it on our website.
And put it on our website. We're now open for discussion.
There's no downside to that idea. It's a good idea. If it helps the public, we should do whatever we can to help the public. For the life of me, I don't know why anybody would want to watch this meeting, but if you do, okay, then it should be up there. And I say that tongue in cheek. I know it's important to some people, so sure, it should be up. But also, too, the second time the speaker brought up that they're not getting to see the materials we see, other than confidential closed session information, everything we get should be available on the website. At least that's my take. If there's a reason why, maybe you can let me know. And if there's a policy that precludes that, let's change that policy.
I don't think it's a policy. I think it's getting up on the website.
Yeah. I mean, there's.
We're still working on.
Okay. Well,
Drew's still the president, you know.
Well, just anecdotal, if we can head in that direction, to get everything that we see up on the website so they can see it. You know, eventually, when you miss my last word, eventually when you start filming and putting it on YouTube, as time goes by, maybe we'll be able to even stream it later once we really get proficient. And you have a lot of people who won't even have to be here this evening because they can be watching it at home.
Good point. Good point.
We are going to have to look into the cost because we haven't priced it and we don't really know exactly what that's going to take to be able to do it and do it well so that people can hear effectively and see what's going on and really have a better understanding of the meeting itself. So we will need to cost it out.
We bring back a report regarding that at the next meeting. Is 30, are we dark in August or are we?
No, we're no dark.
Is 30 days enough, Carol?
Yes.
Yeah.
Any other discussion? It's been, there's a motion that we proceed with videotaping our meetings and putting them up on the IRC website, and that we will get a, oh, we didn't add this to the motion. Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we film and put on the website our monthly meetings. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? You abstain?
I'm going to abstain until I find out the cost.
Two
I'd
abstentions.
like to know some more details.
I think I'll abstain too.
3 abstentions.
Why don't we change the motion to something more amiable? That let's instruct staff to come back with the details.
We have to, first, you want to change the motion.
Well, I'm making this, we're still in discussion, and.
No, we're at the vote.
Vote was taken.
I know,
Oh, that's right.
okay, it actually passed.
Oh, I'll shut up.
It passed, we only have 3 abstentions, so we still, 1, 2,
I think we're all saying the same thing.
8, it passed it. Yeah, it passed it. So, I do agree that we need to find out costs, and staff will look into that and how we will do it. And Christy, I just wish you would get my other side. What's over there? All right, now we have our last item on the...
Can we amend the motion just to say that it will be done at a cost that our executive director deems acceptable?
No, that the motion has been closed. We can make a second motion and we can ask the first motion to amend if they so choose. or we can make a second motion to add on to. But I understand that,
That thing flew right in my eye.
oh, are you all right?
Yeah.
The motion did pass. The motion did carry. So we will bring it back and we will have the cost effectiveness brought back next month.
Okay.
All right? And then, if it's not cost effective, we can probably bring it on the agenda and make another motion then. All right? So why don't we just wait until we see how cost effective and how hard this will be. The last item is the letter to DDS, and that's Carol.
You all had requested at the last meeting that we put together a letter inviting Terry Delgadito and her staff to visit us. And the purpose from what you all discussed at the last meeting was to have an opportunity to talk with Terry and the staff about how to lessen or remove the probation status for Inland Regional Center. And so I drafted a letter on your behalf, and you can certainly massage it, do whatever you would like. But we would like to be able to send it up and possibly have her attend a part of your meeting maybe in August, or at least be with us maybe during the daytime of August of that same day. And then if she would like to come to the board meeting and is able to do that, participate with you in the board setting as well.
When they're gonna come, when they're gonna come, because like our enhancement meeting, I wouldn't want to miss meeting with them to have our meeting that night.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So if you could get a little, if they answer, let us know if it's gonna be that
That's
time.
the tricky one. Okay.
Has everyone had an opportunity to read the letter? Is there anything that you want to add to it, or are you all comfortable with the letter?
Yeah. Did we get taken off of probation? Will anything change other than the level of scrutiny that we're getting from VDS and from the state?
I think from a business, from the state, there probably won't be a whole lot of change. The reporting that we need to do is required in statute and also in contract. The ongoing relationship that we have with the department would not change. I think you're right. The only thing that we would experience is possibly not as much scrutiny on various things. We've used that also as a learning curve, so that from one side of the fence it's been helpful, from another it's been somewhat of a burden. And yet at the same time, I think that myself and staff have learned quite a bit in going through this process, and I think you all have too. A little bit more about what the responsibilities and the obligation is of the Board of Trustees to run and assist the regional center to do its job. So that part's been very helpful.
Okay, thanks.
One of the things that we are looking into is there are a couple of different levels of probation, and so we want to understand if maybe they could lessen some of it if they're not willing to allow us to go totally off of probation, because it does harm us from a business perspective. When we went to get our line of credit, it took much, much longer than what we anticipated partly because of the probation. Did that answer your question, Peter?
Yes.
At this time in our meeting, we have our trustee input. Would any of the trustees like to address the meeting? Anyone have any questions, any input?
Good job.
I'd say, as I mentioned before, we have this lost little 11-year-old boy, and I'd like to say, keep him in your thoughts. He's been missing for over 48 hours. No shoes, 105-degree temperature out there, so keep him in your thoughts, everybody.
I want to thank the city of Temecula for sending up food to the searchers, and for Denise and Candy working hard, trying to get things moved forward to help find this little boy. I want to thank all of you for coming. I want you to know that I'm delighted to be the board president. It's a little bit unnerving. I kind of like those just sitting over there and having fun. going over all these points. And Sandra, poor Sandra, she's like working constantly also. I want you to know Carol spends a lot of time working with the board members. It's very comforting to know that she has our best interest. She goes over all of the different items. If we have any questions, we're able to contact her. She's there, even on weekends. So I really appreciate that, and I know all the board members appreciate and support her. So you should know she's very well supported, and we really appreciate her. And she's going to be around for a while. So yes, me and Leah were like, yes, she knows all the answers too. So thank you very much. Meeting adjourned.